Why the Wyoming LLC is a winner. The cowboy state leads for privacy, low taxes. In the US mountain states, digital entrepreneurs can find a convenient, cost-effective place to do business. Wyoming, whose emblems are the bison and a bucking horse and rider, has over many decades established itself as an attractive jurisdiction. The past decade in particular has witnessed many policy reforms in strategic industries such as blockchain technology, renewable energy, and agriculture. Entrepreneurs from all over the world can formalize a company in Wyoming and enjoy the most business-friendly taxation in the United States. This is possible without moving to the cowboy state, which is sparsely populated, akin to Saskatchewan in Canada, and formalization enables swift access to the US banking system. The numbers are easy reading. Since 2013, the Tax Foundation, a nonpartisan think tank in Washington, D.C., has ranked Wyoming first in its State Business Tax Climate Index. Wyoming does not have inventory, occupation, franchise, value added, inheritance, or since 2005, estate taxes. Nor does Wyoming have personal or corporate income taxes. Wyoming's state sales tax is 4%, and the maximum local sales tax is 2%. The average combined sales tax is 5.22%. Wyoming does charge property taxes. However, with a median of US $1,352 annually, they are among the lowest in the United States, according to Smart Asset Advisors. The average effective rate is 0.61%, the 10th lowest in the country. Wyoming is also in good fiscal shape. The 600,000 residents have, held by the state government, $20 billion in savings and trusts. In addition, the governor and legislators are open to listening to companies and assisting them, particularly in heavily regulated industries. Wyoming offers grants, loans, and incentive programs for startups. With both the Rocky Mountains and Great Plains, Wyoming has a strategic location. Major rail and road thoroughfares bisect in Cheyenne, the capital. The I-25 highway goes north and south, while the I-80 connects the east and west of the country. The nearest international airports are in Billings, Montana, Denver, Colorado, and Salt Lake City, Utah. Wyoming has a growing population with a median age of 36.9. Although its population is the smallest of the US states, it has the second highest total energy production after only Texas. Wyomingites produce 12 times more energy than they consume, so electricity rates are low, as are water costs. Although rural and often remote, 84.3% of households have broadband access. The home of the LLC. Delaware is perhaps more famous now for its LLC, limited liability company, but Wyoming was the first state to offer this pass-through legal entity. It remains competitive, even if not in the middle of the East Coast population centers. In terms of the incorporation process, there are no burdensome procedures, taxes, or requirements. All the incorporation guidelines are available in the Wyoming Business Corporation Act. Often, one can take care of it within a single day, and you do not need to be physically present in the state. There are 9 company forms in Wyoming, but the LLC is the most applicable for independent entrepreneurs and foreigners. Entrepreneurs can choose the one that best suits their model, needs, and goals. To get a bank account in the United States and conduct some other business, owners often need an employer identification number, EIN. That requires a simple online application with the Internal Revenue Service. The application takes a few minutes and has no fees. Additional tax and regulatory requirements may apply to an LLC depending on its economic activities. These include local and business licenses for specific activities or locations. If the LLC is selling physical goods within the state, it must register with the Wyoming Department of Revenue. Owners do not need to be U.S. residents to form an LLC. They also benefit from anonymity because the state asks for little information about the owners, and such details are not public record. Needless to say, another advantage is that the LLC protects owners from lawsuits. They are not liable for any debt or liability the LLC may have. How to start a Wyoming LLC. Choose a name for the company. Owners are free to choose their LLC name among available alternatives. The sole restriction is that the name must not make reference to a different economic activity or another company form. One can reserve the name for up to 120 days prior to formalizing the LLC. For doing so, prospective applicants must submit the application for reservation of corporation name and pay a $50 fee. Select a registered agent. Despite not needing to be physically in Wyoming, LLC owners must include a physical address within the state to receive legal notices. Foreigners can hire a service provider to act as their registered agent or use the address of someone living in Wyoming with his consent. Although hiring a service provider comes at a price, this is ideal for foreign owners and online businesses. The service deals with junk mail and forwards relevant notices. Econ Americas is available to assist with this selection process. Complete your articles of incorporation. The articles of incorporation are essential to formalize a Wyoming LLC. It is a 3-page form that asks for the name and address of the registered agent, the LLC's mailing address, the principal office address, which can be the same as the mailing address, and the signature and contact information of the LLC organizer. Owners must submit the articles of incorporation to the Wyoming State Secretary. The filing fee is $100 for mailing submission and $102 for online filing. Prepare an operating agreement. The operating agreement is not necessary to open an LLC because the Wyoming LLC law can govern the company's operation. However, business lawyers recommend drafting a tailor-made operating agreement to establish the most convenient provisions on how the LLC will run. File an annual report. Owners must fill out an annual report license tax on the first day of the LLC's anniversary month. The filing fee is $50 for mailing submission and $52 for online filing. Delaying over 60 days from the due date could cause the company's dissolution. Setting up shop in Wyoming. For those willing to make the move, Wyoming is an ideal destination for companies operating in strategic industries. These include agriculture and food products, data and information technology, firearms manufacturing, outdoor recreation, and blockchain. A close friend, for example, lives near me in Colorado, but has his factory for gun sound suppressors just north of us in Cheyenne. Wyoming is promoting the production of different food products such as beef, lamb, cereals, distilled spirits, beer, coffee, and more. With the support of the University of Wyoming, the state is conducting research and development to add value to the agricultural economy. For instance, in 2020, farmers grew hemp in Wyoming for the first time, and agricultural tech companies started growing crops across the state. The state offers a sales tax exemption and property tax perks for data centers and manufacturers if they locate their offices in industrial parks or opportunity zones. New data centers can also access grants and reimburse them for utility expenses over the next 3 years. Although the Wyoming firearms industry is already diverse, from rifles and optics to sights and ammunition, the government provides grants and tax incentives for innovators. Businesses can opt for outside-the-box options such as firearms tourism, new product lines, and entertainment. Wyoming is also promoting other outdoor recreation activities to attract more people. In addition to traditional economic sectors, since 2018, Wyoming has issued friendly regulations to embrace crypto and blockchain innovation. Blockchain laws include a fintech sandbox, property tax exemption for digital currencies, and simple licensing for blockchain startups. Other Wyoming strategic industries include potentially environmentally friendly ventures, such as renewables and carbon capture. Known as the energy state, Wyoming is well positioned to produce renewable energy from wind, nuclear, and hydrogen plants. In these industries, Wyoming has invested in infrastructure to encourage the development of public and private projects. The state has 1,816 megawatts of wind online, a nuclear plant that can produce the energy required to power 400,000 homes, and the capacity to generate 25% of the national supply of hydrogen fuel. Wyoming has 2 4-year degree granting institutions, the University of Wyoming and Wyoming Catholic College. These 2 cover both professional and classical liberal arts education. A network of community and technical colleges also offers training programs for employees and academic support to advance research. For those who wish to lean on the state's regulatory environment without moving, Wyoming legislators are examining an e-residency program. As reported by the Laramie Boomerang in June 2022, this would follow the Estonian Digital Nation, which provides identification and streamlines procedures for online businesses and digital entrepreneurs. Wyoming is not everyone's cup of tea for living, especially given the cold and the sparse population. However, you will struggle to find a place with more rugged individualism and respect for free enterprise. This constituency of resilient people buffers Wyoming against policies and officials that would otherwise interfere with running a business. The US federal government is more likely to cause problems than anything at the state level. Even then, you would have a shot at nullification and/or interposition. Wyoming, neck and neck with Montana, has the highest rate of firearms per capita of any US state.